Unfortunately, this success at disease prevention did come at a cost. While students being restricted from going to each other's dorms stopped outbreaks from ever happening, they also stopped kids from being able to see their friends or form community. Some even characterized the restrictions as onerous or even fascist. That's probably an exaggeration, but when considering that the only way to socialize was a socially distanced walk, you can see why students were upset.
So basically, fall term was the most restrictive. Again, you couldn't have anyone in your dorm at all, unless it was like a roommate or someone of that regard, or like occasionally like your UJ could pop in and step by, but like standard socializing in your dorm. Or like especially if I think your floor was okay. It was just you couldn't go into any other dorm buildings. And so, especially if you were like groups of multiple people, it was really hard to find places to hang out. And that was one of the things that I hated most about fall term, was that I just couldn't go visit my friends as I could. Now, we can bring people from other buildings into our dorms, which makes it so much better. But then again, we have to be masked, socially distanced. That's kind of hard to do in a dorm setting. And at the same time, we have to like cap like at a capacity of people. I'm not sure how many people is like the maximum you can have. And it's better than nothing, but then again, like the whole mask on rule, like it's really, really hard for students to implement that, especially if they just want to have like dinner together or like watch a movie or do something casual in which like masks aren't required. I feel like because the testing is so frequent, I feel like it should be lenient. Like I feel like it should be okay enough to just go unmasked in dorms as long as it's not like in huge groups of people. But then again, it's just, I also find it kind of weird in that they try to enforce like, oh yeah, like masking, social distancing, like logistically. I don't think anyone's really following that, especially if they're bringing their friends to their dorms, because it's in an enclosed space. There's not that many people, I would hope. And there's no way that the administration is going to be able to track that down unless you actively like post about it or like say something, so I just think it's irrational. But at the same time, it is an improvement.
And then I had other friends, like, one guy I knew who was on the, one of these Dartmouth student government bodies, the student assembly, elected to class council. He was falsely accused of being at one of the parties for Halloween because people...
24?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the dean called him and forced him to a meeting where she yelled at him for breaking COVID policy, despite the fact that he literally was not there. And yeah, that party was just so inconsistent as well, because that party which was off campus, which was still against the rules. 50
Is this
people,
the Halloween party?
Yeah, the Halloween party. I knew many people who were there and thrown off campus. Like, let's see, there was that guy from my rugby team, and I know 2 people who ran away and didn't get caught. But on the other hand, I was hanging out with some of my friends. What was it, like 4 or 5 of us? 6? Actually, I went to 2 things. I was hanging out with, like, in a large room, about 6, 7, 8 of us for one Halloween gathering, and I hanged out with 3 other friends in a 2-room double to watch just the Halloween movie. But both were technically just as illegal. One time early in the term, people used to hang out on the golf course, right, just walk around with a friend group. I was with a group of what was it? There was my group of like 5 people who came, and then there were like 8 people there already, so small group outside, not drinking, not doing anything else, just vibing, listening to music. Some SNS officer randomly surprised us walking in the dark, turning on his flashlight, and told us to get off the golf course because of coyotes.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's kind of hilarious. Like, I'm sorry, but that's...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He was just walking around in pitch dark. He saw us, and I didn't know who it was. I thought it could have just been another student, so I waved, turned on the flashlight. Some of my friends bolted and ran. I was just fine. And then, as the officer realized we weren't drinking or doing anything wrong, so he made up a BS reason for us to leave.
Really bugged me that they could not fix, and that was, so after I tested positive, right, they absolutely refused to test me again during my 2-week stay, and this was kind of annoying because, well, not only was I asymptomatic, but there had been other reports of false positives going around campus, and every single one of my close contacts had also tested negative multiple times. And it would have just been nice to be able to confirm with just one other test that I had indeed tested positive, or it had just been a false positive. So after I received the phone call and I had called in all my friends, told them, or the word had gotten around, I immediately started packing everything. It was kind of good because I had already started packing because I was just leaving in 2 days anyways. But it was just throwing everything into the boxes. The college had a adapted van come through. The driver was very protected. I think they were wearing a hazmat suit or something. And they had plexiglass and all of that in between the back and the driver's seat. And it was just like, wow, okay, this was happening. So the boxes aren't even sealed, just get a box, throw it in the back, and drive me over to the lodge, throw everything into the room. And from then, it was right during finals period. So, after a few days later, I did reach out to my professors to tell them, and they were very amazing. They all were very accommodating with my circumstances. But how 10 days, 14 days that I spent there, I did spend Thanksgiving there, were just a blur. It was, I don't think I did anything productive. It was just waking up, maybe eating a meal. Most times I just ate one meal a day, whether it was dinner or lunch, and then just watching Netflix or YouTube or whatever. There was very low energy time. Just spending all your day in a room.
I feel like the administration has done the wrong thing with respect to its response to students socializing. I feel that the rules are so strict that it's impossible to enforce every single instance where students are breaking the rules. And even then, I feel like what the coronavirus is doing to college-aged kids doesn't mitigate. It doesn't require this strict of rules for socializing. I feel like we're focused so heavily on preventing cases, and we should be instead providing support for those few students whose cases are severe. And I think it's completely unfair to students who are socializing and didn't get caught. It's unfair to students who are socializing and did get caught, because there is a complete disparity in the level of enforcement. Community. I wanted that feel that that high level of academic intensity and the high level of community. But you get there and you hear your whole life. You hear the first 2 weeks of college are the easiest times to make friends in your entire life, and we get there and they want us to be alone the entire time, which is impossible. I think they're really completely looking at the risks, comparing the risk of coronavirus itself to 18 to 24-year-olds, and comparing the risk of this mental isolation in 18 to 24-year-olds, which I feel like the mental health impacts are much worse than the impacts of the disease is to our age group. It's so hard, it's almost impossible to develop relationships over Zoom. And I don't think that the administration is doing enough to bring students together. I don't feel like I'm a part of the Dartmouth community right now. I could very well be at any other school in the country. I feel more of the South Carolina, University of Wisconsin community where I was for a weekend, and than I do of the Dartmouth community.
As even a perfunctory scroll through Librex will tell you, many students view the administration's stringent response as incredibly excessive. Some even saw it as compromising their mental health. To them, the choice was essentially to either break the rules and have social interaction that they needed, or to have their mental health suffer by isolating alone.